Hey, in this video, I want to talk about how to purchase web hosting. I want to talk about some warnings up first and then some recommendations. Okay, so if you're watching this video, you're probably aware you need to have a web hosting account in order to have your website files stored on a server so that your website can be seen online and found on the internet. There's lots of different website hosting providers. Here we are in Google. We just did a quick search. Obviously, these are ads, but when you get to the bottom, you can go and read these reviews from different websites. These are some popular companies: Bluehost, SiteGround, etc. DreamHost, GoDaddy. But there's several different review sites that you can go and take a look at. Those are certainly can be worthwhile. Just be cautious. A lot of times people make these review websites because they're trying to make a specific recommendation because it helps them earn a commission if somebody purchases because of their recommendation through their affiliate link. Now, that happens to me as well. I have affiliate links in the description box below. And so if you like any of my recommendations and you purchase through my affiliate link, I do make a commission as well. So why am I making this video? Mostly because I do want to, let me just open up. I want to give a warning. I have been a freelancer for several years. I've made well over 1,000 websites for clients. And so I've worked with all the big name hosting companies. Everybody from all the big names: GoDaddy, Namecheap, A2, Bluehost, Green Geeks, DreamHost, you name it. I've worked with them. It's very rarely that I see a hosting company that I have not worked with before. And so that's where the warning comes in, okay? This is a website. I'm going to give them credit, onlinetoolsexpert.com. And they have a great article about the warning I want to provide. And that is regarding this EIG web hosting companies. EIG stands for Endurance International Group. And that's a company that back in the 2005, 2010 timeframe started buying up small web hosting companies and putting them under this EIG brand. Okay, so if we go down and look at it, that's what we'll see. EIG, definitely the biggest player in today's web hosting industry, began as Bizland in 1996, headquartered in Massachusetts. Began to buy smaller web hosting companies to build their customer base. Now, that's not unusual, right? Big companies buy a smaller company because maybe that company has something to offer them, etc. But today they own some pretty big names. Bluehost and HostGator are undoubtedly the two biggest brand names that they own. In 2011, EIG was acquired by these two groups and then started publicly trading on NASDAQ Stock Exchange and had a value of $1.2 billion. And then a big thing happened in 2020. EIG announced that it was going into a merger with Clear Lake Capital Group in an all-cash transaction for about $3 billion. But what that did is it took them out of being publicly traded. Now they're owned as a private firm. So nothing really changed except that now their financial information, etc., is not public any further. Okay, and so that can affect customers. Now customers are being affected before this happened in 2020. And that's what we'll get to here in a second, right? It's estimated they have right now they have more than 80 hosting brands under their umbrella. And millions of users, okay? And so, yeah, why should you care about EIG hosting? So if you're starting, if you're going to start an online business, then whether it's a blog, an e-commerce business, a Shopify store, whatever it is, you're going to need some type of hosting for your website. So everybody goes online for hosting, and you have different solutions that are needed, different pricing, support, etc. And the issue with EIG is what they did when they bought these brands is they didn't, change the brand from Bluehost to EIG or from HostGator to EIG. They kept the brand as EIG. And they tried to then minimize their costs by reducing support staff, technical staff, consolidating locations, so shutting down servers, etc. And that worsened, website loading time. That caused, websites to be down. Long times waiting to get support and get help, etc. And it just really was a big change. And I personally went through this because I've had a lot of different hosting companies over the years. At the time, I was with HostGator. And I was with HostGator during the time they were purchased by EIG. And there was a very noticeable difference. And a lot of HostGator customers who really loved HostGator also noticed the difference. Support time. It's very hard to get in touch with anybody for support. Page load speed was down. Sites were down frequently. They changed the user interface, the cPanel setup. And so, you think you're still with HostGator, but you're really not with HostGator. You're with EIG. And so you went, from being with a company that was, really, really prided itself in, great, website speed, great technical support, great, service, uptime. And then after they sold out to EIG, all of that changed. And it was very noticeable. So what happens, after, a hosting company is acquired by EIG? Well, as we've seen in the past, typically what happens, they make several changes. They change the control panel, the equipment, the data center locations. They make operational changes to their existing staff, and they start moving customers to their own network. And as such, usually customers will notice a significant reduction in the level of customer technical support following the purchase of a hosting company by EIG. And so here they talk about HostGator, which is who I had when I noticed that. Okay, and so it's important to know that who these EIG companies are. And if you go to this onlinetoolexpert.com website, he's got a nice list of when these companies were purchased by EIG. Again, you may recognize some of these names. Some were always smaller players. Bluehost was a big one. Okay, that was really, really big. Constant Contact. Now, they don't do hosting so much as email marketing, but they are a big email marketing player. Domain.com. That was a big one. And then the other big one, well, Fat Cow, that was a big one when it happened. And then HostGator would have been the other really big one. But there's a lot. As you can see, they have a lot. And so, again, their business model is they leave the brand in place, right? So, people still think they're, getting a HostGator hosting, but they're not. They're actually getting an EIG product, which is not the same as what HostGator used to be. So just, go with your eyes wide open. If you're looking to buy hosting, I personally would not recommend any of these hosting companies that are now with under the EIG company umbrella. iPage is terrible. There's just so many on here that used to be great and just unfortunately really, really went downhill when they were purchased by EIG. So that is the warning. I would definitely stay away from any of these companies. Okay, so the warning is avoid any EIG owned companies. Okay, so what do I recommend? There's still, a pretty good number of independent-owned companies where they operate independently. They're not part of any large ownership groups like this. And so who do I recommend? Now, you're going to be surprised by one of my recommendations, so keep watching. But let's go ahead and start out with my favorite recommendation, which is A2 Hosting. This is who I've used for the past 3 or 4 years. They offer lots of different types of hosting, regular shared web hosting. They have some WordPress hosting solutions. I currently have a managed VPS hosting account with them. They do offer dedicated hosting and reseller hosting for all different types of business models. So lots of products. They offer, you can get domains, you can get everything here. Their pricing, does vary quite a bit. Here's their shared hosting. Now, obviously, they have these faster plans, and these faster plans, Turbo and Turbo Boost and Turbo Max, are way faster than most hosting companies because they don't overload their servers. You get more resources. Everyone's not, competing on these shared servers for resources, and they are much, much, much faster. Their pricing is not bad on monthly. Now, it does go up after the special, but really not bad. I would certainly recommend, a Drive plan. And again, they have managed WordPress, VPS, dedicated, etc. Great support as well. Really, really good customer service. A2 also has a ton of built-in security features that other host companies don't provide or other hosting companies charge you for. And so that's another thing I like about them is they are proactive with their security. So I use A2 hosting currently. I definitely recommend them without any reservation at all. If you're looking for a company, I would go with them. Their name, a lot of people, A2, what's that? They're based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. So that's where the A2 comes from. Ann Arbor, A2. And they're great. They have servers around the world. So you can choose your server location. But they just do a really good job. And they're certainly a good resource if you need them. They do have 24/7 support. You get free SSL. You get the solid state drives, the SSD drives, which are much faster. They'll migrate your site for free if you're coming from another host. They do the automatic backups. You can upgrade at any time. So again, I started with a Drive shared web hosting. I bought a second Drive shared web hosting when I ran out of space. And then went upgraded to a managed VPS. So that's A2 hosting, my number one recommendation. My other recommendations I think are also very, very good. SiteGround is well known in the industry as being super reputable, very, very good customer service, uptime, speed, and everything. They have all kinds of different hosting options as well. Different web hosting plan. This is your shared hosting, some WordPress hosting options. If you're doing e-commerce, hosting that's specific to really work well with WooCommerce type sites, and then cloud hosting. They do offer reseller hosting as well. So they pretty much offer what most other hosting companies. What they don't, I guess, is maybe the VPS so much, but lots of good options. Okay, super reliable, good speed, uptime, support. I mean, you can't go wrong with them. Again, they'll usually do free transfers. They do now. Almost all companies nowadays do the SSD drives, disks. Definitely super fast, and just really good. Now, the only issue really is that their pricing does tend to be a little more. Okay, so like say if we go back to A2, you could get their basic plan $2.99 a month if you buy it for a 3-year term, whereas if we go to SiteGround, it's $3.99 a month. Okay, so it starts higher and then obviously goes up from there, but you get a lot of really good things. They have built-in CDN, as does A2. So you're going to pay a little more, but I gotta say, with web hosting, you really do get what you pay for. I have lots of, again, as a freelancer building websites for other people, I have a lot of people come to me and they want to use low-cost hosting because I get it. Everybody wants to save money. I don't fault people for wanting to save money. I like to save money. But sometimes you just need to pay a little bit more, There's some companies I really just do not like or use at all and will not use at all, like iPage, Ionos. Those are a couple. Namecheap is almost there. Now they're charging 99 cents a month for hosting, $1.99 a month. So $1.99 a month. Not that much cheaper. You're saving $1 a month, and you're basing your entire online business reputation and success on saving $1 a month for your hosting. I mean, really, is it worth it? So, don't be cheap, okay? So you're going to save $2 a month, with SiteGround, okay? Don't try to cut corners with your hosting. But SiteGround is great. Definitely recommend them. No issues with them. My next recommendation is Hostinger. Now, Hostinger, I really only became really familiar with them over the past 2 years, maybe. I've had a lot of clients use them, and mostly because they tend to have pretty good pricing. Let's just talk about what they offer first, which is really pretty much everything, okay? They have traditional shared web hosting, they have cloud hosting, WordPress hosting, VPS. I don't know if they have dedicated servers, so that might be a little different. That's why I say they're all going to be a little different, right? Like A2 pretty much offers everything, okay? SiteGround, I don't think they have dedicated servers or VPS, so again, a little different there. And Hostinger, I think, pretty much offers everything except a dedicated server. So you're pretty much going to be able to get everything here. Now, they do offer, free domain. I think that's just for the first year. So you're going to pay for it after that, but that's, kind of a nice thing. Everybody pretty much offers free SSL except GoDaddy. That's why I don't like GoDaddy, as well as their hosting is not great. Everybody knows GoDaddy. They're a huge name, but I don't like GoDaddy. And so, they start out their basic web hosting, up to 100 websites, pretty darn good for $349. All right. So if we compare, you're getting up to 100 websites for $3.49 per month when you start out with them. Well, you'd have to get the A2 hosting drive plan at $1.50 more a month, $5.99, to get more websites. Their starter package only allows for one website, so you're paying a little more here. So Hostinger definitely has an advantage there. If we go to SiteGround, for one website, you're going to pay, again, $3.99. So 50 cents more for only one, and it actually goes up to $6.69 to get unlimited websites. So Hostinger definitely has some pricing advantage. So I think that's pretty good. And again, these are pretty much all, things that they'll all offer. The 24/7 support, the most offer some type of CDN, whether it's through Cloudflare or something else. Almost everybody should be offering 99.9% uptime guarantee. So that's not really much different. They definitely, I think, are pretty fast. I've noticed that when I built sites for clients on Hostinger, and they do a pretty good job. So I have no issues with Hostinger, and if I wasn't happy with A2 hosting and very satisfied with A2 hosting, Hostinger is definitely a company I would consider switching to. Okay, SiteGround is very good, and I have no problem with people using SiteGround. Just for me, their pricing, is a little more, and so if I can get something that's, just as good, but save some money, then why not, right? The issue I have with people using Ionos, iPage, etc., where you're paying $1 or $1.99 a month, is you're not getting the same thing for less, okay? So please understand that you're not getting the same thing for less when you use those type of hosting companies. You're getting less speed, poor service, less support, less uptime. You're getting what you pay for, you're getting less. But if we're looking at what I consider very comparable companies, A2, SiteGround, and Hostinger, then Hostinger has a little bit of advantage with pricing. Not significant, but a little better. Now, I haven't had to use their support. I don't know what they offer for security features. To me, A2 stands out there. They have some really, really good security features that run in the background that, again, other hosting companies make you pay for. And you get that included with A2 hosting. So those are my top 3 recommendations. I have a 4th recommendation that you may be a little bit surprised by, only because it is Bluehost. Okay, and Bluehost is one of those EIG companies that we were talking about before at the beginning, right? Bluehost was purchased, where were they? 2010. They still go under the brand Bluehost, but they're owned by EIG. And the reason I recommend them is because even though a lot of the other hosting companies seem to have a lot of issues when EIG bought them, Bluehost really didn't. From my perspective in working with them as a freelancer, and I got a feeling that is probably because Bluehost was a really, really big hosting company before they were bought by EIG. They were well known, well respected, and so I think they probably had some pull in making sure that, I got a feeling, I don't know this for a fact, but I have a feeling that they probably kind of isolated themselves a little bit, or quite a bit, from the rest of the EIG operation, and that they may just run things independently. And so that's why they still have, pretty decent pricing, uptime, speed. Again, they offer free domain for the first year. They offer, again, pretty much everything, all kinds of different WordPress hosting, lots of shared hosting. They do have dedicated hosting, VPS. So again, Bluehost in a lot of ways is a little more comparable to A2 in that they offer a much bigger variety of hosting options, and so you can upgrade and stay with the same company. I don't know if their security is as good. I don't think it is. They do have, consistent support. They are recommended by WordPress, as their for hosting. Now, again, they're going to be a little more expensive. Okay. They say, hey, get started here, $295 a month. Now, again, that's just for, one website. If you want to have multiple, it is going to be, $495. So again, in that sense, it's really not a whole lot different in pricing from, say, A2 or SiteGround. Certainly, and again, more than Hostinger. Hostinger probably comes out best as far as price goes, although not significantly better in price. It is a little better in price. But my number one recommendation still is going to be A2 hosting. So I think they're the complete package. The big ding against Bluehost is that they are an EIG company, and so I think you take the risk that their service, their support, their speed, their security could start to suffer any day. That, as long as they're owned by EIG, that is the EIG business model, it appears, to compromise on those things, compromise on those services in order to, improve the bottom line. So SiteGround, really good. A lot of people, people that use SiteGround usually are fanatics, diehards. They love them, almost a little cultish, which is just, I think, speaks to, their services that they offer. And then Hostinger, again, a little newer to me, so a little harder to say because I don't have as long a term experience with them. But my experience so far has been very, very good, and I have no problem recommending them. But again, number one recommendation, A2 hosting. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, it'd be great to leave a thumbs up. And please subscribe. I'll try to give you more hosting updates and information. And if you have interest in any of these hosting companies, you can see the links in the description box below.